Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Shiggles. I am that guy Rickster,
Hello, Darren here, guys.
and we're gonna continue the format from last week. We're just gonna talk about topics. I have stuff written down this week, so some people can't say I have nothing to say. So yeah, do you want to start with one of yours first or one of
I
mine?
mean, you can go. You can go ahead.
Okay, so the first thing I have on mine is like kinks and your boundaries when hooking up. Where kinks are come into play.
Kinks and your boundaries when hooking up.
Hmm.
Kinks. Now, first of all, let's talk about what do we consider kinks? Because I've been noticing lately a lot of things that people. I said something to someone. They're like, "Oh, you're freaking." I'm like, that's like a normal, average thing that a lot of people do. Of course, you have some people who probably don't like it, but a lot of people do it. So I don't think it's that
What's
out
that?
there. We were talking
If you
about
don't mind me asking.
giving facials and stuff, giving and getting facials and stuff
But
like that.
I don't think that's kinky.
No, they were saying it's freaky, and I'm like, I don't think that's freaky. I
Well,
think it's just
freaky, yes. I think we're. I think where it would get into the realm of being a kink is when you get off on that. If you get what I mean.
oh,
Like
okay. No, I
like
see.
some
I see.
people
Okay,
like
I see what you mean. Yeah,
when that
yeah, I
happens to
see what
them,
you mean.
like they get off on that,
Okay, I
or
see what you mean
them
now.
doing it to somebody. But I added this one because you. I remember talking to someone, and you're talking to people on the apps and whatever. But this one dude, he's like, "What are you into?" So I'm like, "What do you no?" They asked me if I have like any kinks or whatever. And I'm like, not really sure. But then they're like, they kept trying not to say what their kinks are. And they're like, oh, it makes no sense for me to say because you're not going to be into it and whatever. So I'm like, I won't know if I'm into it unless you say. So like we're both grown people here. Just say what you have to say. If it's a yes, it's a yes. If a no, it's a no.
Exactly.
So they start off quite simple. First one was like sucking toes. I'm like, well, I've never done that personally. I've had it done to me and I liked it. I've probably
I did
thought
it
of doing it.
once.
Yeah, I've never done it, but I've
Spur
had
of the
it done to
moment. It
me.
was really good, and it was. I don't know. Something about it
Yeah,
was just hot in that moment with that person.
exactly. For me, I think whenever it comes to like getting intimate with people, having sex, it all depends on the person that you're doing with it and the things that you're willing to do with them.
Yeah, I can
So
see that.
then they mentioned this one like really was like, oh no, no. So
Tell me what
basically,
they say. What they said.
being undouched when having sex. I'm like,
Not the scat play.
right?
Absolutely
Like
not.
they're into scat play, and that's their whole thing because they of course he said he's a bottom and like he gets off on that. I'm like, oh, okay,
But let me say
no,
this. There's nothing wrong with having sex without douching or stuff like that. Like if
there
you're a
isn't.
person who is like in tune with your body, like you know your cycle, you know when you'd be good, when you wouldn't be good, like you know what you eat, like you have a high fiber diet, so you know like even if you didn't, it's not gonna be like some crazy situation, then
No,
fine.
no.
But to
But here's the
say,
thing. His whole thing was being like really full and like
oh
everything is
hell
there
no, oh
still.
hell
Yeah.
no,
And I
absolutely
think
not.
that's where I draw the line. And
No,
I'm like,
because who would
no,
want their entire
it's
house and
okay.
she that's like
Yeah.
mentally scarred. Like
Can you imagine the last 4 days
let's
of dinner, breakfast, and lunch? Like, no.
let's not. Let's not.
So
Let's not
that's where
even
I was like,
entertain
no.
that.
So that's why this came to my mind. Like, what are your thoughts? So yeah, I think that's where I would
So
draw the
let me
line.
also say this too. Like some kinks are, pretty average, pretty normal. It's not too
Yes,
out there, right? Um, But I also find that these days people don't ease you into anything, and I might have said this before. They just come straight out the door, and I understand that people don't like have time to waste or stuff like that, but
I get
certain
that.
things on the extreme end of the spectrum at least like ease me into it. Maybe I would be, maybe not the scat play though. Let's get that out of the way. But
Yeah,
maybe I would be. But the fact that, for example, like let's say like threesomes, right? You just start talking to me, you're already asking me about, if I don't want to do a threesome with you. I haven't had like any real rapport with you to want to find like two brand new people who I don't know to no. Like give me some time, like
exactly.
ease me into it. Let's do a one-on-one first. Like test the water to see if we actually even like each other or if we're even sexually compatible. At
And this
first.
this conversation was in minutes of us talking.
Yeah, that would that
Minutes.
would that would turn me
But
all
what
the
I
way off.
appreciate though is the fact that you said it. And as you said, maybe I was into it. I don't know, which is why I said I wouldn't know unless you tell me what it is that you're trying to get at. So, but it was a no for me. I'm
Of
sorry.
course it would be a no. I'm not into that.
And
It
I don't
happens.
like king shame people and whatever, but if that's what you like, that's good. You
And
like
you're
what you
right.
like, I like what I like. Let's
It
just leave it at that.
happens. Let's not pretend like it doesn't happen because you're not going into the
The abyss.
some nice smelling bakery, some nice garden with roses and shit like that. You're going into the pits of hell. So shit like that may happen. Quite literally. Quite literally. It may
No, it will.
happen,
It can.
right?
Accidents
But
happen.
also when it happens, I'm not really expecting like a whole floodgates open sort of thing. You know,
It's different going in when you know, oh, it's just that it's an accident. It's different from when it was planned and that's what you're into.
exactly. And this conversation comes up a lot on Twitter, and they say that a particular demographic of men from a particular set of countries like to do things like that. When you
Hmm.
first brought it up, I was going to ask you what's the demographic of this person is like. Is this person a black person, a white person, a Latin person?
It
But
was
I chose
Asian.
not to. Okay.
I mean, I know he's not listening to this, and I didn't say
Because
anything more ever. So
I've heard it about Latin people and Asian people, and I don't discriminate against anybody. I'm not going into a situation thinking that that's going to happen, and I've had experiences with people from that same said demographic, and I haven't had problems like that. So I guess it just depends on
same here. This was the first
certain,
time I've met like an Asian guy who was into stuff like that because I've met Asian guys who are extremely clean and they
so
make sure that they are clean.
it's just little things like that. But I won't king shame, but certain things are just too extreme, and please do not ask me these things. This is a Christian household. I'm joking.
Not the heathen.
but but yes. But
Uh,
to answer your question, it depends for me. Some things are just too out there. Like telling me that you want me to fist you or you think you want to fist me, like absolutely not.
yeah, that's not one thing. That's not something I don't see myself doing anytime
Not
soon.
around here, partner. Like
Mm-mm.
absolutely not around here.
Would
So
I
one
do
of
it
the
to someone?
yeah,
Probably.
maybe for a price.
Probably. I mean, you have very big hands. You know they like the big
Right?
hands.
But anyways, so one of the things I wanted to talk about is having a personality, right?
In what sense?
In general, in
Okay.
everything, like in real life, everyday life. I just find, and everyone have a personality, but not everyone's personality is something I can tolerate, because some
Yeah.
people just be so bland, they just be so boring, and like you talking to them, the conversation is so dry, like there's no ha ha ha
Oh,
like
okay. So
sending of
I see what you mean.
memes, and I find that people who haven't really been through it, like been through life, have the trauma, the character development, they're so dry. And it's like whenever you're talking to them and it's just like, oh, mom and daddy raised me and whatever, and it's just like the personality is just so boring. Like they had no
Yeah.
character development, and it stresses me out because I'm like, it's not something good, but it's also something good that comes out of having a little trauma and shit like that. Like a little, at least positive side effect. The person is funny, engaging.
And sometimes the laughter and the ha ha he comes because of trauma. That's a way of
Trauma,
dealing with the trauma.
dealing with it.
So they
But
built
people
that
like that,
personality.
right? People like that is so interesting to be around. Like y'all can buck down, roll on the street laughing, and that helps you because it kind of like refreshes you in a sense. So when you engage with
Yeah.
people like that, it's so interesting. When you talk to people who have life has just been so easy, nothing bad has happened. It's just like
But the reverse would be like people you meet or you see someone and you can just be like, you're annoying. I can tell you're annoying. The personality is just too much.
too
That's the
much.
reverse. But I get what you
But that
mean though. It is way more interesting when you're talking to someone who has something that you two
some
can
sort of
connect
mental
with
illness.
or you I didn't want to say
So-
that. I didn't want to go that far.
some sort
But
of
I get what
mental
you mean
illness,
though.
some sort of daddy issues, something happened, parents
It
weren't
makes
there. It
it
makes for
makes the
character.
and it makes the interaction more interesting. So yeah, I will agree with that.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's what I wanted to say about that. And it also comes to you will see like some like super attractive person, like really, really
Hmm.
attractive, but then there's just nothing there. The looks
And
is the only thing going on. And like the elevator goes all the way up, but then the door opens
like
and
a
it's empty.
himbo,
It's it's
a
it's
himbo.
empty, and it's just like, damn, like make
And
me laugh
I've
something.
I've heard people say this a lot. Like whenever the same thing you say when you see somebody who's like conventionally handsome or pretty or whatever, you always wonder what's wrong with you. You can't have everything, so something must be wrong.
Right?
so,
Like, do you have
so
like
when you
some mental
find
illness
out
or
that the
something like that?
personality
Like,
is the boring one, you're like, okay, that's what's wrong with you.
right, exactly. And it's like, yeah. But it's nice when you meet someone and you're like, damn, you're attractive, but you have
Hmm.
personality and character too. So it also makes you even more attractive. And I've met people in the past who aren't conventionally my type, but the personality
Yeah, that's what draws you in.
will make me do anything
And
to that person.
that reminds me, like a lot of the times I remember over the year. Did your cat just bite your nose?
Right.
Oh my God. I remember over the years, like people would ask you, well, ask me, like, so what's your type and blah blah. And I would always say, like, I don't think I have a type. For me, I'm more attracted to the personality of the person.
Oh, I have a type.
But
Physically, I
then
do have a
no,
type,
over the
but then I
years
look
I've
at the
realized that
personality
I
too.
do have a type. So but I think for me though, yeah, as much as I do have a type, I also go for personality. But
Which
then
is true.
my type tends to have the type of personality that I'm attracted to anyway. So I guess
Which
it
is
just
right
works
because
together.
I said this to someone last night, and I'm like, there's a particular look I go for, right? But
Hmm.
whenever I see that look, I can see the aura, the person's personality along with the look. So it's just like, yeah, it's definitely you, and
And
I've never been wrong.
do you want to tell the people your type? I
I don't think that's
mean,
important right now.
oh,
But I like things that, to be honest, and people say this like people are like tall, 6'10", da da da. I'm like,
6'10". What the hell?
I don't just
A
exaggerating.
giraffe?
I don't like people who are tall. I feel as if I'm already
Oh.
tall. Not saying that I wouldn't never be attracted to someone that's tall, but it's just like I feel like I'm already tall. I generally like people who are shorter than I am. I do love short people a lot. But I like when, of course, you're attractive, and I like pretty people. I say this a lot. I do like pretty people, so I'm a little bit shallow there.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I like when you have a hint of awkwardness to you, a hint of nerdiness to
I
you.
really like
Like
nerdy
that
people.
sends me
Same.
over the edge, and it shows that there's just a little character there. So
I like
it's
nerdy
along that line.
people.
Not that I don't go for
Or
people outside of my type though.
or they would call them the alt guys or whatever.
Well, not all the
Alternative.
way there, but like a
Not
little
all the way
hint.
there, but I get what you mean.
like a little.
But yes, I also do like the nerds and the geeks.
So what's the other questions that you had? Or the other things you
Um,
wanted to talk about?
okay, that was yours. Okay, so my other one, have you heard this whole term of gentle parenting?
Oh yes.
What are your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts on that?
All right, let me say this now. So, for those who haven't known, I have a cat. He's like a baby. He is a baby. He's my son. I've realized that, cats
I
can be
also
like
have a
humans,
cat.
like kids. Cats are like kids, especially like in their young year, like kids. And kids, they're in some ways you can use gentle parenting. Like positive like redirecting and stuff like that. Da, 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 da. Sometimes you have to be really stern though, like not abusive, but sometimes you have to raise your voice. You have to give a little bit more command, more sternness, more aggressiveness in your
Mm-hmm.
redirection, which is not necessarily seen as like gentle parenting. Gentle parenting is like you see the kid maybe like playing with a cup of water. Um, you say to them, "Hey, stop playing with that. You're going to spill it.
Alan,
Stop playing with that.
stop doing
You need to
that.
stop doing that."
Don't leave that
Right?
alone.
And then
Don't do that.
eventually now, when shit happen and like the water like spill, you can be like, "Okay, all right. See, I told you that would have happened." Da 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 da. But if you see this kid doing the same thing again, clearly the gentle parenting never worked. So now you
Clearly.
have to learn that there's consequences for your actions. And not you're gonna
Okay.
beat this kid, but you gotta like put that down. Like
Get a
stern,
bit stern.
loud.
Okay. So I know someone who I don't know if they're listening to this. Hopefully not. Anyway, because is anywho. So um basically the child in question is around 2, 3 probably. At 2, because or maybe
Terrible
she's like
twos.
no, no, I think she was 3 or 4. Anyway, a toddler, but probably almost 5, I think. But the parent in question is like, this is literally, we are sitting down around the table, talking, whatever. They're getting ready for a trip. The child is running amok, and the parent is just like, no, stop that. Don't do that. You can't do that. And I'm sitting there like, raise your fucking voice. Say
Put
something.
that down.
Put authority in your voice, because clearly the child is not listening to you. You have been here for 10 minutes sitting down saying, no, don't do that. Stop that. And I won't call the child's name. Don't do that. But every time they say that, they add the child's name to it, thinking, and I'm thinking, oh, you think by you saying their name, they're listening to you, but clearly they're not. So maybe raise your voice a bit. Not saying slap the child, but at least little authority, something.
And this happens like in other aspects of life too, because it's like, and of course I'm gonna say talk about me managing people because it's so annoying, and they do act like kids. And sometimes you talk to them and it's just like it goes through one ears and comes to the other, and like sometimes you have to be way more stern to be like, for people really to get that,
Yeah,
don't do that. Um, and kids are bad as hell, especially these kids, and a lot of it comes from them watching these things on, and they can pick up like aggressive behaviors from these videos that they watch and playing Roblox and shit like that. And it's like you talking to them and it's like the ears are turned off. And sometimes you have to
yes.
be really
Sometimes you have
loud,
to
with them.
just some authority, especially when
Because
you see like what you're saying and doing is not working. Like switch it up a bit. Try something new.
and no, I'm not gonna say we turned out fine. I don't really believe in like hitting and like that sort of punishment because it creates like resentment and stuff like that. But sometimes a little tap on the hand or something, you know,
To be
you
honest,
gotta
I
stop.
in my entire life, I think I've only been beaten once by my dad.
Jesus Christ,
Once.
me get licked till my fool. But anyway,
My mom would be the one, because I think because I was around her a lot more because my dad traveled a lot when I was younger.
Mhm.
But I only remember one time him like really getting upset and beating me, and I deserved it.
Because
Looking
sometimes
back at
kids are
it,
bad
no,
as
looking
sometimes
back at
kids
it,
are
I
bad
know
as
I
hell.
deserved it. I should not have done what I did. But my mother was
Well,
the one who would always like slap and all of these things. Don't do that. Don't do this. Blah blah blah. But this whole thing also reminds me of back in high school. There was this dude in high school. This doesn't have to do with this parenting, but it was like being the like authority in your voice. So he was saying how somebody asked him why does he always like swear as people would say, but we would have said cuss bad word. Why does he do that all the time? Is like it's a way to emphasize what you're saying. And he's like, if I just tell you to shut up, be quiet, you're not going to listen to me. But him says, shut the fuck up. Yeah, go listen.
shut
I'm
up your
like, that
blood
makes sense.
clot. Exactly.
That makes sense.
So
So it's like at least just some authority, you know? So yeah.
um,
What's your
but
other
it
one?
can be done. It's just how you go about it. But sometimes you have
It's
to
just how you
like
go about it.
you have to step outside. The other thing I wanted
Yep.
to talk about is having a crush and how embarrassing that can be, especially as an adult. As an adult,
Ah,
though, I don't. I think I'm kind of moving away from calling it a crush. I think I just more have like a
is it now infatuation?
could be because I don't know. I can read people really well, read people's
Mm-hmm.
energy and stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of times, like I see people and like I'm instantly like, oh, they're cute. But if I am drawn to you now to constantly want to look at you, there's something about your energy, something about your aura, and I'm just like, you could get it any day, anywhere,
Well, he's speaking up. I guess he
any day,
realizes you're being a hoe now, so he's like telling you to stop. That's his cat, by
right?
the way, people.
You can get it anywhere, anytime, whatever. And I'm just like, sometimes though, it's an image of the person that you create in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes. Because I've met people and it's like, yeah, you're exactly everything. The sex, all of that is exactly as how I imagined it would have been. But then
Yep.
other times you're like, damn, we should have stayed a crush, you know?
Yeah, I know those situations
Because
where
this is who you are.
and you know how they always say you see someone online and only photos and like, oh my gosh, so dreamy, and you're
Yes.
crushing on them, but then you hear them speak and you're like, the hell is that?
Yes. And on that topic, please, it is okay. It is 100% okay to have an idea or image of who someone is in your head. It's totally normal. We all do it. We all come up with our preconceptions and all of that about who this person is or who this person might be. However, if you ever get to the point where you actually get to interact with this person, you actually get to talk to this person even though you were crushing on them, take off the rose colored glasses and really
Yes.
try to get to know this person outside of the image that you have created, because this is now a real person standing in front of you, not the image that you had in your head. And while some things might be similar to how you envisioned it, a lot of things aren't going to be. And that's one of the reasons why we have a lot of issues when we eventually get to know people, because like, oh, we didn't think the person would be like this.
Yeah,
Don't get
that's
caught
true.
up in the image that you see with people. And a lot of people, especially social media, they put
Like
on a
what you
front
see
as
on
to who
social
you
media.
want, who they want you to
Yes.
think they are, but that's not necessarily who they are.
They are showing you what they want you to see. That's not who they are most times outside of social media. And you are right. Like some people they disappoint themselves because they meet these people and they're like, "Oh, okay." And you're not what I expected, but that's just what you thought the person would be like.
Exactly. And it's like, most times we have a crush on someone is because of how they look physically. Most times. Sometimes it can be other things, but most times it's how they look physically. Nothing wrong with that. And if you're as shallow as I am,
Oh,
it's like
at least
pretty
you're
handsome.
honest.
I'm very self-aware. I know what I like and what I don't like. Everybody
True.
who knows me know this.
I
And
will
I'm
agree with
very
that.
to the point of this
Blunt.
is how I feel and blunt and blah blah blah. If you meet this person, right? Please get to know this person outside of how they look. Find out what this person like. how they respond to different things, all of that. Don't get caught up in the physicality of that person. Because
And
beauty
that's
is one thing, beauty is one thing. But find out who this person is. And a lot of time people get hung up so much on the physical aspect of that person or how this person would look in their life. But like, yeah, I'm talking to this boy and look how pretty he is or whatever, whatever. But
yeah.
then you fail to get to know the person. And when things don't work out, you're just like,
Especially when the honeymoon phase ends, then
exactly.
you're disappointed because then you start seeing all the flaws that you thought were there, but they were there all along. You just weren't seeing them because you were just caught up in the image that you created of the person.
And I do this. I take it as, what is given to me, what I come to learn about this person when I'm learning about them. Um, but I also do this. I don't know if it's a bad thing, but it's like if people ask me about myself, like, I tell them the things I enjoy, the things that I like, the things that I don't like. And I also give them the negatives too of how as I said, like I'm self aware to things and how I respond or react to certain things. So I'll
Yeah.
be like, oh, I'm very funny and people call me funny and jovial and blah blah blah, but at the same time I can be very miserable. So I was
Yes, yes,
dating
you
so
can.
right, so I was dating not you agreeing, but so I was dating this person. When I was telling them that, they were like, "Oh, can you not give me the negatives?" I'm like, "Why would you not want to know the negatives? I'm giving
Exactly.
you
And at
the
least you're
handbook.
upfront trying to let them know.
Exactly. I'm giving you the handbook so you don't have this idea in your head that I'm this sweet, funny, whatever. Yes, I am that, but
But
I'm
I'm
also
also
telling you that I'm
this.
this. So when this
Yeah.
pops up, don't act shocked. I told you,
Don't act
and it's a
brand
reason.
new.
Exactly,
You've
it's
known
I'm
this.
and I'm telling you so that you know.
Yeah.
So that's that with that.
Yeah. But people, as you say, always have like a perception of what they think someone will be before they meet them. And then they end up being disappointed when it doesn't work out. Oh well.
Too bad.
Exactly. Did you I'm assuming you know who Boosie is.
Hmm.
Did you
With
see
that
the whole
situation with his
thing
daughter.
with his daughter? Yes. Did you see the video with her responding to what he said?
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion that not everyone should have kids.
I mean,
A lot
yeah.
of people have kids and they should have never had them.
And I think I've said this before in this podcast. If I haven't, this is something very I want to pass on to people who listen. If you ever plan to have kids or whatever, when you have a kid, the idea of who, what, whatever you want that kid to be, most of the times will never be that way. And this kid can come out to be
Exactly.
anything in the world. They can be the best person, they can be famous, they can be the worst person, they can be a serial killer, all of that. You have to bear in mind that this is an individual. Yes, you can give them the tools to raise them as best as you can, but this person might be a lot of things that in your everyday life you don't uphold with. You have to come to terms that people are individuals, and it's not, oh, I raised you like this so you're supposed to be like that. No, you have to understand that yes, if you raise a person, the person turns out like that, well, fine, but there's also the possibility too that they might be gay, you know they might start doing drugs, whatever. Like, you have to decide that you're still going to love this child, regardless
Exactly.
of who or
And
what they are. And
for
then
people
blasting
who
your
don't
kids
know,
online, like,
for
oh,
people who don't know the situation, so basically there's this rapper guy called Boosie, and the name alone, anyway,
like
called
Bussy.
yeah, exactly. So one of his daughters, I don't know if she's the oldest or the youngest or whatever, but one of his daughters, I think 2 or so years ago, she came out as being a lesbian, and ever since then he has just been talking about her sexuality like every chance he gets, and he's just always saying the worst things about her being a lesbian. So the latest thing, he was on
And
this
she shouldn't come
show.
around his kids, his other
Yes.
kids,
So she
almost like
was
she
on
has a
this show.
disease. What the hell?
Exactly. So he was on this show and they asked him about it for some reason. I'm not sure why. And he's gonna say she can't come around her siblings with her situation because he doesn't want her situation to contaminate them as if she has some disease. And then, of course, she responded in her own way to that video. And in the video, and she's in her car, she literally looks like she's trying to hold back tears because of how hurt she is because of what he said. And two things. Why do you keep talking about her sexuality? Why is that important? You have been talking about it for years now. And if she keeps saying to you, this hurts me, why do you keep doing it?
And in
Ridiculous.
the video, all she's saying that all she wants to be is like loved and accepted, or have like some understanding or agreement like with her parents. And to be honest, that's what a lot of kids want and
Yes,
need.
that's what most
And
people want.
I think I saw someone in the comments on Twitter saying some shit like, "Oh, having parents who are rich and da, da, da." Again, it's not always about the money, like, love, support, like understanding, being there, being caring in all these other ways. These are things that you have to be for kids as well, not just financially. So saying that she should not be even worried about it, like, that's not
And she
important.
literally said it in the video. Don't get me wrong. He takes care of us, he provides for us. But it's just his mouth, the things he says. He does not think before he talks. And it's so true.
She's stronger than me, though.
But I cut him off long time.
That's what I
Just
was about to
saying.
say. This version of myself, and separate and aside from this whole, family thing, because anybody can get it. It doesn't matter who. Work can get it, a family can get it, the person on the street. The moment you start making me feel some sort of way about the type of person I am, and it's not just about sexuality, but in any way or form, you have to go. And I'm not tussling with you back and forth, trying to force you to
Mm-mm.
accept me. First of all,
Not a
I've accepted
backside.
myself already. And at this point of my life, if you need to go, you need to go. And I don't care if you're the
And I
mother, the
had
father,
too
or
much trauma
whosoever.
growing up. We
To
don't
add
need you to add me
more,
more when I'm an adult.
yeah,
Mm-mm.
like,
Nope.
you need to go.
Straight cut off. Done with you.
That's
Just
it.
like
Deal seal.
I was about to say, just like Chanel on UK Drag Race, did want everybody know. I me make it. But done with
Hey,
you. I make
right?
everybody know. Everybody I know
but,
some done with you. I'm sorry. But yeah,
but
some people just don't know how to parent, and just not
and the
just
last
providing for your kids is not all that it takes. Just giving them money, like you also have to give them the love and support.
and that's one of this is one of the last things I'm about to say about this too. And it's listening to people. I tell people, don't talk a lot. Listen to people. If
Mm-hmm.
you listen more to people when they talk and they talk about random things or things that you think would be random, it all can tell you who this type of person is, who they would be to you, who they would be in different situations. Listen. Listen, comprehend, and shit like that. A lot of times, like, women, I hear women talk, and they're allies. The fuck? They're allies. They have gay
Mm-hmm.
friends, all of that, and just like them, more, my child could never be gay. And
Right, and I'm
whenever I
like,
hear them say things like that, I'm like, me being a friend of yours, for example, and you say something like that, it shows me that you still do have some hatred
mm-hmm.
for gay people. And if you say some shit like, "Oh, my child should never be gay," I'm like, hmm.
Then you start looking at them differently. Because what are you really thinking of me, bitch?
And
What do
it's
you say
little
about me?
things. It's little things. It's little things like that. And I always listen. Always listen. Right. The other thing is, and this comes from women a lot, or like, oh, you gotta do them this, you gotta raise them this way, da 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 da, blah blah blah. Let me tell you this: if the person decided to be gay, there's nothing you can do about that.
There's nothing you can do about it.
If the person actually is, and I think people are born that way, so it's just gonna happen. Nothing you
It is
do
what
or
it is.
say, it is what it
All,
is.
all you're going to do is push them away and also have them hide and do shit behind closed doors so that you don't find out and then probably put themselves in more danger.
And resent you while they're at it too.
Exactly.
So having a kid, don't matter how homophobic it is. Chances are you might even get a batch that has a full three. You have three kids and all three of them are gay.
All three
So,
of them.
so that might happen too. But on the other note,
Hmm.
this is the last thing I wanted to talk about. Things that have gone wrong during a threesome.
Okay.
No.
Is this from experience?
I mean, I've had experiences, yes, but I mean, it could be any random thing, but and based on stories that I've seen. But my favorite one is, and I love this meme so much, is like two girls and a guy, right?
Yeah.
And the girl is the one in the bed with the guy. She's getting it like he's digging it, and then the girl just stands with her bonnet, like with her hands at her lips, just look, just
Oh.
look.
So in this case, so the one who is just looking is the girlfriend,
Is a
and then the one
girlfriend,
getting it is
yeah, and she's
the
like,
third.
and she's looking at like, damn, he really,
But we I think we said this last week. Like that shit happens where you
one
some
person
sort
is
of
more
jealousy
into the
comes
other,
in.
exactly.
Yes, like there you
You know,
and then when all is said and done, you're going to be like, so why were you so in it when you were with her and not me?
because I have a story, circa 2019, like. And this ties in with the whole crush thing. I liked one person. We used to do stuff. I liked another person.
Oh, I know this story.
Come to find out, they were together. They asked me for a
Mm-hmm.
threesome. This was my first threesome. I was happy to do it because I like both of these people. Da da da
Yeah.
da. The one who I've never done things with before. I guess I'm their type and all of that. So things happened while me and them were getting it on, which caused a whole explosion in the
Drama.
relationship. And it's kind of funny because we're attending university together. Um,
So it's not like
and
you can't see each other. You're
it's
going
not
to
like I
see
can't
each
see
other.
each other, but it's like, oh, y'all shouldn't be hanging out. And then we're doing the same course and we're in the same group. So we
Exactly.
had to communicate. And one night we're on the phone, like 12, 11 in the night, trying to get this group assignment in. And I just hear like commotion start in the background. I was like, why y'all on the phone? And
Oh
you trying
wow.
to, it was a lot. It was a lot. And I stopped talk after like I ended that class, that course. I stopped talking to both of them,
But of course, you don't
because
need that drama in your
I'm like,
life.
this is too much. You first of all, and this is the shady thing I always say about it, because the one that was having the problems, me and them, we've done things before. So I'm like, come on,
Mm-hmm.
baby, you know what I was bringing to the table, so you knew what I would have been introducing in that holy matrimony.
Dynamic.
Why would you bring me knowing that I'm coming to lay it down,
And
and the
then get
person is probably going to lie
jealous.
that and then get jealous? Don't have threesomes then.
Exactly.
And I don't know, I've been asked so many times after that by couples, and I'm like, yeah, baby, nah,
I
this shit
mean, you
ain't
don't
gonna
want to be
work.
the home wrecker. Just
I
walking
mean, I'm
out
not
wrecking
wrecking no
homes.
homes. You can't wreck something that was happy and
That's
functioning to
and also something that you were invited into willingly.
exactly, exactly. And I've heard situations after where, people just start fucking on the low behind the other's back because,
Yes, because
this person that was
they want more
introduced,
of what they had.
yeah, but they don't want more of everybody. They want more of that
Everybody
one
together.
person.
Hmm.
And I've heard messy situation of where both of them were getting more of the other person on the side.
Behind
It
each
it,
other's
it can
backs.
it can be so
So messy.
so messy. So messy. And that's the reason why I don't do it after
And I
that
think
one
that's why a
situation.
lot of people and I think that's why a lot of people are like, "Oh, we're open." Just so they have the excuse of like sleeping with people.
Yep.
Yep, to me anyway. But yeah, with that said,
I was waiting on that.
you bitch.
Yeah, I was waiting on that.
But anyway, guys, this has been another riveting episode of Shiggles. I have been that guy Rickster,
And this was Darian, guys.
and we will catch you in the next one. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and stay listening. Bye.
Bye, guys.